All right, y'all. So today, what we're going to look at is we're going to kind of go and talk about persuasive appeal. So our ethos, pathos, and logos. So if you have your blue TCAM packet, which you got before when we left for spring break, we're going to be on page 10. Or if you don't have your packet for some reason, these notes are also on Canvas. So you can either print them out or you can have them kind of side by side with you just as we go along. Um, and the reason why we're going to kind of talk about this is you are going to go back and you're going to analyze Atticus Finch's closing argument in Tom Robinson's trial. And you're going to see that he's going to use all three of these persuasive appeals in his argument. And really, these are going to be rhetorical strategies that, whether you realize it or not, you use like every single day. So, like, whether you're trying to convince your parents to let you go out on a date or go to the mall, or girls, if you're trying to convince your boyfriend to buy you this $300 necklace that you don't need, right? You're using persuasion. You want some goal. And really, I mean, what is Atticus's goal? He wants to free Tom Robinson of his conviction. So again, we're going to kind of go into detail and talk about these three different appeals. Before we get into it, just a little FYI for you, Aristotle is the Greek philosopher who kind of studied this art of persuasion. And he said when looking at these rhetorical elements, we really need to look at three things. We need to pay attention to our speaker, we need to pay attention to the audience, and we need to pay attention to the purpose. So, like, what is the goal? Okay, like what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve that $300 necklace? Are you trying to achieve $10 so that you can go to Chick-fil-A, right? So just kind of like what is your end game? Now, before we kind of go into it, we're going to look at Frozen as a little example. Again, we're going to have ethos, pathos, and logos, right? And when we talk about ethos, ethos is going to be about morals and your goodness. Pathos is going to be passion and emotion, and then logos is going to be all about logic and reasoning. So the first one that we're going to talk about is going to be our logical appeal, which is going to be called logos. And kind of think of the words that we get from that, right? We get words like logic, we get words like logical, okay? So when we're looking at our logical appeal, this is going to kind of be geared towards your intellect, right? More so than your emotion. So this is going to depend on things like deductive reasoning. So deductive reasoning is basically like if A is true and B is true, then C must be true, right? And I'll show you an example here in a second. We have this reliance on authority. Okay, so like you would call in a forensic specialist during a murder trial, right? You're going to see a lot we have with kind of research and facts and statistics, right? We'll have tradition, we'll have cause and effect. So I ate 20 donuts for breakfast, and the effect is that I have a stomachache, all right? And then you might see the use of kind of effective metaphors and similes, okay? But again, when you're dealing with logos, you want to make sure that you have clear, sound reasoning, and you want to make sure it's sensible, right? You want to make sure that it makes sense. So some examples for you, again, you're going to see a lot of stuff that has to deal with numbers. So we have like customer satisfaction, 85%. Okay, we have a 90%, we have a 99%. Okay, so again, you're looking at numbers. Okay, and this one right here, we have 32 minutes, and kind of it's talking about how these doctors at Cooper can recover, kind of help patients that have blocked arteries in 32 minutes, like 32 minutes faster than the national average of 90 minutes. And then here in the middle, here in the middle we have deductive reasoning. So like it says penguins are black and white, some old TV shows are black and white, therefore some penguins are old TV shows. So if A is true and B is true, then C must be true. So again, logos, you're looking at something that you can prove, okay? All right, so next we're going to have our emotional appeal, which is going to be pathos, okay? So when we look at kind of pathos, again, think of the words that you kind of pull from this. You get things like empathy, right? Sympathy, pathetic, right? And again, you accept these claims based on the way that you feel. Like, really, when you think about it, our emotions largely control us as human beings. Like, I mean, I think for myself, like, my emotions, like, I can't control them, right? I'm going to act the way that I feel. And that's kind of why people appeal to that, because it's something really that we as humans all have, right? Most people respond to emotion. Um, and now there are some things that when you're using ethos, you're going to appeal to, because there's some things that we as humans, we kind of all have in common. Okay. So think we all have physical needs, right? Life and health. We have psychological needs. So the need for love, right? So think of like dating. All right. We have a need for humor. We have a need for joy. We have a social need. So like a need for freedom, a need for respect and acceptance. And then if you have any God reference, like we want God on our side, that's going to be an appeal to pathos as well. The one thing about pathos is it can be extremely effective, but people can easily manipulate you because, again, we are so driven by our emotions. Okay. So some examples, think like ASPCA commercials, right? In the Arms of an Angel, Sarah McLachlan, right? This ad we have is a pedigree ad. So you see this cute little puppy, right? So they want you to think of the puppies and the kitties and whatever else are in the animal shelters. And they're basically saying, if you buy pedigree, we'll donate to these animal shelters, right? So kind of pulling at your heartstrings. We have share a Coke with friends. So again, friends is kind of this need that we need in life. Think of like if y'all have seen the movie Inside Out, right? That deal with kind of all of our emotions. So again, they want to pull out your heartstrings, and pathos, kind of how I remember it, it's the path to your heart. Okay. You largely a lot of times will accept something based on the way that it makes you feel, and that's kind of what the speaker is going for. All right, last but not least, we have our ethical appeal, which is going to be ethos. All right, and ethos, again, think of the words we get from there. We get words like ethical, right? Questions of right or wrong behavior. We have things like ethics, right? Good versus bad. Um, and so when we're looking at ethos, we're going to look at someone's character, okay? And like and I mean, not we, but like as human beings, right? We're going to trust someone who has credibility. We're going to trust someone who we believe and who we like. Um, so, as the speaker, I want to convince the audience that what I'm doing is moral and just, right? I want to convince you that I have your best interest at heart. Okay, I'm not going to use inflammatory language. I'm going to use language that's appropriate to the situation. And really, you're going to see a lot of like I and me and my and trust, because again, you want to build your credibility. So like if I said my bachelor's and master's degree in English from Texas A&M University gives me the ability to be your teacher, right? I'm trying to convince you that I'm qualified to be teaching you, right? And also kind of think like someone can be so smart, but if you don't like them, then you're not likely to listen to them. So again, it kind of hits on this idea you've got to have this likability, right? You've got to make sure that you are showing that you have your audience's best interest at heart, right? Um, so some examples for this, we have Clorox ad, right? Trusted by moms. If moms trust it, it's got to be good. A really good example is think of when you go to the doctor, right? If they give you medicine, you're going to believe them, right? Because they're a doctor and you're not really going to question what they tell you to take, right? Whereas you're not going to go to the mall and accept some medicine from some rando that you just met, right? They have no credibility. Whereas a doctor, you're going to trust. Okay? So again, ethos, we're looking at a person of character, someone who has good morals and who is just. So yeah, so just kind of a quick recap. Again, we have ethos, pathos, logos. Okay, ethos is going to be with ethics. Pathos is going to be your emotional response, and then logos is going to be your logical appeal. All right, y'all have a great day.